Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to episode 248 of RPG Digest. Why am I calling it that? This is Gamer Talk, not RPG Digest, a subsidiary of RPG Digest. I am Sean Maxley Auschlow, your favorite curmudgeon, critic, and judge. Along with me today are Brett, Heathen Dog Grismer, Kevin, Boomgun Simbita, and the Colonel, Jeremy Colantonio, who join us for another episode of Gamer Talk. Now, today, we're going to look at a new Through the Glass Darkly audiobook for the Nightbane RPG by Palladium Books. We're going to show it off and hopefully convince you that is a tool you will want in your Nightbane toolkit. Following that, we are going to talk about horror. It's Halloween, right? Well, it's coming up on Halloween. It's right around the corner, and many of you are going to run horror one-shots or even start a Nightbane Beyond the Supernatural or Dead Rain campaign for your local or online group. Hey, look at that. See, there you go. Resources already ready to go. Already got the stickers, the little notes in there, everything, pages marked, ears tagged, all that good stuff. So to give you a bit more, and creature, yes, you can never go wrong with monster manuals or creature features. You cannot. They're always the best books in any role-playing game system. To give you a bit more food for thought, they can push your game over the top. We are going to dive into experiences, suggestions, and ideas that make your horror sessions memorable and fun for everyone. That's right, you too. Yeah, I see you. You too. As always, we are extremely grateful you are here with us today and sincerely thank you for your time and support of both Legion of Myth and Palladium Books. Now, if that wasn't long enough, let me get through the other nonsense here, and then we'll get started and have a great conversation here. So before we get started, please consider supporting Legion of Myth or its charity, the Wounded Warrior Project, through the links in the live stream's description. And if Kevin and Jeremy want to, I'll give them a moment in the end to talk about their charity. Or if you're watching this after the fact, and if I remember, which I never do, you can click that big old donate button and donate to the charity that way. Rumble Rant Super Chats to less than $20 will be read at the end of each segment or topic, while those of $20 or more I will read as immediately as I can without derailing the conversation or the topic. If you're feeling extra generous with a Super Chat or Rumble Rant of $100 or more, I will take a drink in your name and you can force us, that's right, all of us, to answer any tabletop RPG gaming-related question of your choice right then and there. We are not going to ask for bank account information. Sincerely, thank you very much for your kind donation. So, to give that little something back to those who do support us, to notice the numbers change. Yes, that's right. Another change here. If we reach $200 or more in Super Chats or Rumble Rants, there will be a $50 Palladium Books or Drive-Thru RPG gift card giveaway, Hunger Games style, towards the end of the live stream. Yes, I raised the threshold for when we have guests on. I think that's appropriate. I just do. I don't have to. Lastly, a special shout out to our new viewers, and I hope you all enjoy the live stream. Share it with your friends and come back to join us again. With all that nonsense out of the way, what is good today, gentlemen?
Life in general. It's good.
All right. Everybody forgot why they're here. It's so long, everybody forgot why they're here.
I know. Like, I don't know why I'm here anymore. I mean, I don't have a donate button. What the hell?
You will later, sir. You will later.
Jeremy makes me come here.
I did see that he rolled him out like it was like that Star Trek episode where he's all strapped to the chairs. Like, what was it? The one where they go and they're all is that whole Nazi thing going on. And they just kind of roll him in the back and they make him do those announcements. I saw Jeremy roll Kevin out like that. That's why.
How many lights are there, Kevin?
That was Patrick Stewart's favorite episode.
Right.
Notice that normally Jeremy's like at we'll say an undisclosed location, but today you can tell he's in the office right there next to Kevin, and there'll be a stick.
I'm not in the same room with him, but I can just run over there real quick and smack him. And he's got a hammer. In his defense, he has a hammer that he can beat me with. So he's prepared.
The best thing ever would be if you could Kool-Aid Man through the wall.
Oh man, that'd be worth the repair bill.
That would be us. All right. We're supposed to have a live stream about something today. I already forgot what it is, so I'm glad that Kevin and Jeremy are here. What's new in the Palladium wheelhouse before we get started with anything? Obviously, we're going to talk about the Nightbane audiobook in just a moment here, but what's been going on in the world of Palladium in the whole 2 weeks that it's been since we last talked?
I mean, actually, a whole lot of stuff has been going on. We're knee deep or hip deep, neck deep in figuring out the shipping costs for Ninja Turtles and hammering out all the logistics and making sure product gets sent to the right fulfillment house and get that all going. The turtle books are, at sea. So they are on a boat and they're heading this way about frickin' time. And, that's been happening. And then, Frank from Studio 2 and RPG Audio, he and his wife were in town. So we hung out the last couple of days. That was kind of fun. And then we've just been kind of, tweaking the Palladium website, hammering out some bugs that we noticed, and made some clarifications on stuff like all of our books, all the horror stuff, the riff stuff, everything is available as PDFs from Palladium Books website as well as Drive-Thru RPG. So it seems like we came to realize a lot of people don't seem to realize that. And then in addition to most titles being available as PDF books, for those who like digital references, if you buy a book and the digital version of the book, you get a 40% off on the digital book. So stuff like that, we're trying to make that more apparent. And then we've just been, working away on all kinds of other odds and ends. And, it's funny. I was talking to Frank. He did the world's largest dungeon, which was a big deal this summer. And he was funny because he's like, "Yeah, we made all this money, but it's all going into the product and this and that." And it's like, "Do you make profit on this? Because we're barely making profit on this stuff." And I'm like, and it's so we're still dealing with details and doing things, and it's like this project goes on, and it's people just don't realize how much work goes into these things and all the little details. There's so many little details, and I'm like, welcome to my world.
I mean, that is an interesting question, though. On the initial, we'll call it the initial, whether it's crowdfunder or release, pre-release, whatever. Do you, in general, I'm not asking for your books, obviously, but do you make any sort of money on that, or is it on the residual stuff after the fact where it really starts to come in?
It kind of depends. It's really on the residuals, what you refer to as the residuals. It's like, the mainstream market sales once the book ships to all the backers. I think this is true for a lot of Kickstarters, is that mostly you make money. The money you make mostly goes into the production of the product itself. You're paying for the artists, the writers, the shipping, the printing, all that kind of jazz. And then if you make profit, it's usually not all that significant. And a lot of people lose money on it because there's so many different factors that you can never account for. Like, for example, when we did the Turtle Kickstarter, tariffs weren't a thing, and neither were EU regulations, which required us to get an attorney and to follow certain rules for importation into the EU, and that kind of stuff, and that all costs money. Attorneys don't work for free, and and then we had to change the packaging to accommodate some of those regulations, and so that's a whole nother layer of work, especially when you have like 20 products. So there are just all kinds of stuff that will pop up, and then it just everywhere. Every time you turn around, it seems that there's a new cost added to something. So one of the fun new things for those of you when you start ordering product in time for Christmas, and you think, "Gee, it seems like shipping is higher," and I don't know how this will impact Amazon, because they ship so much, they have special deals and stuff, but there's additional costs now from like this week through the middle of January that the post office, FedEx, UPS, all of them are adding like a handling fee for the season. And it's like, what the hell? It's like, so, in that case, I mean, obviously when we ship product to distributors and retailers and stuff, we're seeing it, but, that's another cost that sadly, is going to be passed on to the consumer because, our postage, whatever calculator, it's going to automatically include that. And it's like, just what we need, more stuff. I thought that was sort of like these guys shipping books and products are making a crap load of money now. They really have to add a seasonal premium.
And, there are breaking points for every person. I won't pay X dollar, more than X dollars for a book or whatever. I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of one of those people. I see book prices going up. One of the reasons I do keep buying from Palladium is because, well, that threshold has not been crossed yet. But other game companies, I'm like, I'm sorry, like I love the game and I have enough up in here where I don't need all your expansions if you're going to charge me basically the core rulebook price for a half size of
yeah.
But,
No,
but to
and
be
you
fair,
gotta-
it's not their fault.
Yeah, no, you got to take it into consideration. I mean, of course, you got a limited budget and you can only afford so much. I've been there. I mean, I grew up poor. I was a poor kid in Detroit. So I know well when I look at my, gee, Kev, what do you want for Christmas? I can think of 20 books that I would love to get. And then it's like, but what's the reality? What are the three you really like, or the three or one you can really afford? And it sucks. It does. And that's why I try to keep our prices low, and not keep jacking up prices and doing 39 editions every other year. Because it blows. And I try to keep in mind what other people have to go through.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we are missing a very important perspective, and I want to make sure that gets addressed. Jeremy, what do you think?
The inside joke nobody is going to get.
Right. I was actually looking at Walter MC's comment and was laughing because he's spot on with Canada. It's like, here, hold my beer, right?
Yeah.
Like the shipping costs. It's calculating. It's been it's new for me. This is something I've never done before myself. I come from an industry where I did a lot of other accounting and book related work, but man, shipping is a beast all to itself, and it's huge. And
I saw the little banner pop up about Canada. Oh my God, poor Canadians.
Yep.
I mean, their postal service just had some major several months long strike. And I think and I may be misspeaking, I am not Canadian, but the government said, get your asses back to work. And so the postal service was shipping for about, 6 weeks. And they said, I don't think so, Gov. And now they're on strike again. And it's like, holy moly. So yeah, it's at least we got mail going in and out. So
Yeah. Socialism is only fun to watch.
I mean, but to be fair, if we didn't have the USPS, do you know what UPS and FedEx would be charging us? So it's good to have those options. Let's hit some of these super chats here real quickly, and then we will dive into, because I could talk a long time about about Kickstarters and so forth, and the perils that I've seen my friends go through with those things. Mondo Hand for $19.99 says, "Let's go, baby." Okay, we will. We
gotta bring the energy up now. Damn it.
Yeah, we got to ease into it a little bit. Can't start with the
Speaking
sprint.
of Canada.
Oh yeah, hello and happy Thanksgiving to the Canadians in the chat.
happy Thanksgiving.
You know why they have it in October while we have ours in November?
Why is that?
Because they already have blizzards up there and they're dying of freezing. They need it. They need
no
it
one,
a month
no
and a
one's
half
gonna
earlier.
be able to go to Grandma's house in November in Canada. All right, everyone's stuck. I mean, it's after November 3rd. It's snowshoes or bust. That's.
Oh my God! Yesterday here in Alabama was the first day that I went outside and said, this actually feels decent. I think it was like only 80-something degrees outside. And I was like, oh, this felt good. I went outside this morning. I'm like, this is a beautiful summer day in Minnesota. I was like, I have to stream, but I could do yard work today. I was like, nah, I'll go stream.
Then we have CPK with at Kevin. How many souls trade to get a fully functioning glitter boy with Technomage damage reduction?
Well, I don't recommend selling your soul, or trading souls, or buying souls, even though I've known people.
Alistair Dunstan has a huge trade for it. The Federation of Magic does not agree with you, Kevin.
I know that.
How are they shipped? Are they shipped by the soul? Or are they just kind of put in a jar? Like do you mix them up? Like,
well,
what do you?
I think historically jars have been the go-to, carrying case container type thing for souls.
So I could just hand you an empty jar and say there's a soul in there.
Well, no, because it always glows. I mean, come on.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
It always glows. But technology is getting to the point where, if I take a glowing jar that with an LED and a hidden battery back in time 100 years, like, oh, he's got my soul. Like, it'd be great. I'll be burned alive, but whatever.
Would it be worth it for the burning?
I don't know, man. That'd be pretty funny.
So, fair warning to our audience. Clearly, today we are all very silly. So you might want to tune out now before it's too late.
Or we're getting into the theme of horror.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Sometimes you have to laugh at the horror.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think part of that might be because the intro that I did before the live stream started, that if they came to the channel, was you talking about people selling their souls and the repercussions of that. That little short we had from that from a while ago. So maybe that's what spurred that on. All right. Well, let's absolutely dive now into. I got my. Let me share my screen here. If I could, that's not sharing. Sharing is caring.
Sometimes.
Fair. Yeah, it depends on what you share, I guess. Where the heck is it? All the way down there. Boom. All right. And let's switch. I can't switch it. We'll leave it there. Oh, yeah, I can. It's up here. I have to learn how to do my live streams. Okay, there we go. So we're here today, at least for the first part, to talk about the Nightbane audiobook. Now, I posted this on the Discord. I had a tweet out there, talk with people behind the scenes. There's a lot of, oh, that's cool, and a lot of, And I won't read the entire comment, but we'll just say there's a negative comment right now on the Rumble side about the idea of audiobooks. So kind of the general primary question that I get is like, what? Why would I want an audiobook for something with game stats? I mean, I can't reference it, so what the hell is the point of an audiobook? What is the point of an audiobook?
Yeah, Jeremy, what do you think?
Oh, I'm so happy.
So, okay, right, sure, if you're at your gaming table, right, you're not going to be sitting there using the audiobook for reference. But when I got to run my games, hopefully I've read my book a few times before I'm running the dang thing. But what this does is it gives you the opportunity to read the book or listen to it when you're doing other things. When I'm driving to work, when I'm doing chores around the house, just the same places I would listen to any other audiobook. And so then I get the rules down, I get some game ideas forming in my head. It's the same exact reasons why you would listen to any other audiobook. And anyone who complains about, well, I don't want to listen to an audiobook that's just going to read stats, has apparently never listened to a lit RPG book.
Actually, to be fair, in our community, because I promoted somebody else's lit RPG book, we got tore up. Really? I did personally. Yeah, absolutely. Why are you putting this slop out there? Nobody cares about this crap, blah, blah. I was like, I kind of thought the idea was, it's childish to me, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that, kind of the difference between like a Dungeons and Dragons book versus, George R. R. Martin or Brandon Sanderson, where, they like, right. they're different styles. But I didn't think it was that bad. And the guy we've talked to him a couple times on here, I don't dislike the guy. I think he's kind of nice, but we got tore up for that. So my point to you, Jeremy, is there are some people out there who just have opinions about that don't like that kind of stuff, apparently.
And they shouldn't buy it. Like, why are they wasting their energy complaining about something that's not for them?
Oh, because complaining has become a
right
21st century
favorite pastime, right?
Yeah, especially since we're online.
If you don't have anything important to say, instead of saying nothing, you should
complain
everything else.
Yeah, you say it, but you say it on Twitter.
But you say it on X. It's not
Yeah.
Twitter
Oh,
anymore.
yeah. Yeah. It's whatever it's called. I don't like change. It's Twitter.
I still call it that all the time.
No, but it's funny, Jeremy, because, and obviously we will allow Kevin to speak on the show that's about his company in a moment here. But I wrote a lot of notes, and you just basically took them all away from me. So good job, because that's kind of what I was saying as well. Is it's supposed to set the mood? It's supposed to set, like, because the person who does the audiobook, if it's the same one as the last one, did a great job. I liked the last one. Again, I wouldn't use it for reference either, but I thought it was well done. He set the tone. It set the premise. Sure, I don't care about the +1s and 5%. I'm never going to remember that crap if somebody's telling me, but it still sets all of that for you. Well, as you said, for me, it's driving to work. For you, it's doing stuff around the house. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. How about Kevin? Can you?
Oh no, here's something.
Uh-oh.
In a lot of Palladium books, but more so in Beyond the Supernatural, Nightbane, and a little bit Rifts, there is at the beginning of a chapter or at the beginning of a large section, there's usually a story. And I want to get to the rules. I skip it. I skip the story, and maybe I go back to it later. But with this, no, I'd actually get the story.
Well, it'd be almost reverse, right?
Yeah, I'd go back later for the rules. I'm getting the story first.
Well, yeah, so first of all, personally, I'm not really into audiobooks. I know friends who love them. Wayne Smith is into them. Sean is into them. Eric Wojcik was an early adopter of audiobooks. For me, I think part of it is I never had like a long drive where I can stop and listen to stuff. But yeah, when I'm doing stuff in the warehouse or I'm cleaning the house and stuff, I'm often listening to stuff on my phone. And it's the same thing. But here's the cool thing is because one of the things that really struck me, and I've talked about this before, is I'm listening to this audiobook, a Nightbane audiobook being read. And the first things in my mind that comes across my mind is, wow, this is really cool. It feels spooky. It feels dramatic. Is this actually in my book? Did we write this? Because it sounds really awesome. And I kid you not, the very first book that they adapted, the Dark Designs. I'm listening to this because Frank sent me like an hour's worth of the audiobook, and I'm like, this is amazing. Did we write this?
Good.
Well, actually, it was Mark Oberle, but I'm like, man, Mark Oberle is better than I remember.
Well, but it also included like subtle background music and noise. Wasn't in your face style, but it was subtle background sounds. I mean, there was effort put into that.
Yes.
I do audiobooks when I'm driving back and forth from work, and I'm still personally not sold on the idea of an audiobook for RPG, but I understand its point. If I'm trying to run, like for somebody like me, I don't run horror that much. So if I'm really trying to get into the Nightbane mindset, what better way to do that than to listen to somebody who's got those tools? Again, it's not just him reading it like we do for our read-throughs. This is somebody who's putting creative reading into it. He's basically voice acting it with all those other sounds and so forth in the background. It puts you in that setting better. And just so people know that that QR code that's above my noodle right now, that goes to the Nightbane Through the Glass Darkly audiobook if you want to check that out. And I'll put the link in chat here in just a second.
And if it's not for you, that's cool. But, and I thought it was a cool idea. And so when Frank approached me, I said, sure, let's give it a try and see how it goes.
And if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, then there won't be any more. That's how it is. That's how capitalism works.
And I just think, more and more people are getting into audiobooks. I've got an acquaintance who tells me he doesn't even read books anymore. He just gets them as audiobooks because he loves them that way. And, I think there's a growing number of people. From what I understand, the audiobook market is growing in double digits every year. So, but if it's not for you, that's cool. Don't buy the thing. But you might want to give it a try. Buy one of them and see if you like it. See if it works for you. And if it does, awesome. You might have a new form of entertainment, and a new resource for ideas. Because like Max was saying, it creates a mood. It really does kind of set the mood. And when you're listening to someone's spoken word, you're perceiving it on a different level than when you read it yourself, and it may spark ideas. So it's a resource out there if you want it.
I will say that as much as like a true novel needs a good writer and good editor to really have that come together, a good audiobook really needs a good narrator as well. And I don't know this one. I haven't had a chance to listen to this one at all, but I can say that first one was fantastic. Like it normally takes me about a half an hour to listen to a new narrator before I'm finally comfortable with the person. It took less than 10 minutes. And I kind of felt like, okay, I'm feeling the Nightbane vibe.
So one
Dark
thing that I
Designs,
would recommend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah. So one thing I would agree to anybody getting new into audiobooks is start with one that's got a celebrity that you're familiar with, that you're already familiar with their voice. So like, for example, the first audiobook I ever listened to was Ready Player One, narrated by Will Wheaton. And it was awesome. Listening to the Wheel of Time with Rosamund Pike doing the audio on it is another good example. She's got a great voice. There's a lot of celebrities that'll do audiobooks, and since you're already familiar with their voice, it just grabs you and pulls you right in real fast. And you don't have that initial jarring period that you have to get through.
Shut up, Wesley.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's right.
I knew it.
I have no love for that guy, but it's at the same time that makes a very, very good point. If you are familiar with the voice, it can bring you in better. I love the voice actors. There's two of them for the Brandon Sanderson novels. There's if it's a female heavy chapter, they have a lady that does it. If it's a male heavy chapter, or perspective, I should say perspective, then they have a guy that does it. I can't tell you their names off the top of my head, but they're absolutely fantastic. And to be fair, most of them that I've listened to have been good. So. Very few that I've been like, oh God, I cannot deal with this person anymore. And those are some really obscure books anyway. So I think people should check them out. And again, like Kevin keeps saying, if it's not for you, it's not for you. I don't like PDFs. Like the only reason I have PDFs is for this show. Otherwise, yeah. I wouldn't have PDFs. I don't research them. One of the things that I've learned as I've been running through making Turtles characters again here is that I can flip through this. Like just, I can't do that. I don't care. You can tag the pages. It's not the same thing as having 4 fingers in here going, okay, got that one there, got that one there. Okay, so that's +2. That's, it's not the same. I don't like PDFs, but most of you weirdos out there do.
Thank you.
For being a weirdo?
Yes.
And thank you.
Yeah, well, Jeremy, what do you think about that?
He thinks PDFs are the bee's knees. Cat's meow.
It depends.
23 skidoo.
Tables, I have both. When I run my games in person, I have a physical copy of the book on the table. I have a PDF on my tablet, and I encourage other people to have their own copy of the PDF as well. So that way, there's multiple ways to reference the information we need really fast. And you're right.
Sure.
Having the book to be able to when you're going to look up multiple different things, you kind of need to flip back and forth. The book is great, but when you need to look up one thing, especially if it's really obscure,
Control
a PDF
F,
is superior.
whatever.
Not even Control F. The index is usually hyperlinked.
In Palladium?
Aha.
Our more recent books, absolutely.
That's fair.
More recent books.
I had to do it. Sorry.
Like that. I'm working on it. I've got other things I've got to do. Okay.
That's fair. We say it because we love it. I mean that in all seriousness. One of the things that I think that especially referencing back, when we were showing off the new Turtle stuff, it's like, some of the stuff that we're used to is like that's going to be fixed, but we kind of like that, So because there is a history. I'm going to completely and forever miss my Palladium peel. Where is it? There we go. I side the book and there we go. I want my peel. Without the peel, it's not Palladium.
Well, I mean, that's what we still do physical books for everything. So who knows? The peel makes
but that's hardcover. Are we going to get softcover Turtle books?
Oh, for Turtles? No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Looks like you highlighted a couple things here, and then after this, we'll scroll down here. We'll show everybody what the awesome stuff that they get with this, because you can also get a physical book too if you want that. Just saying, from this Kickstarter or backer kick, sorry, and then we'll move on. Go ahead, Heathen Dog.
First, we got BioKiddo. Oh, that explains why I couldn't get into audiobooks. My first audiobook was narrated by Brittany Murphy.
Who's that? The name sounds familiar.
She was an actress, and her voice is kind of shrill.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it like Fran Drescher?
It was a bad joke, but I liked it.
Okay.
And then Reagan says you can set PDFs as audio with Adobe. I don't know if you need to have an account or the paid version. Probably need the paid version for Adobe to do that. I listened to Dinosaur Swamp that way. Robot voice sounded fine while I clean around the yard or at work.
There's a better way to listen to Dinosaur Swamp. There's 2 videos out there I know that somebody did on those.
Yeah, listening to the Rich Cyberworks collection with a robot voice would be really appropriate.
That's fair, yeah.
Just say it's being narrated by Archie.
Well, I want a Cylon, an old 1978 Cylon to narrate that.
Oh,
Yes.
By your command.
By your command.
Awesome. Okay, let's scroll down here and let's show all the wonderful people out there the things that they can get with this. So, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about Nightbane Through the Glass Darkly? Like, what is in there? What is the book about?
it's really part adventure book and part dark magic. There's some pretty crazy shit in that book. The Flesh Sculptor and mirror magic, and I think it's sometimes an overlooked source book. It's one of my favorite. It really is. It's got so much cool stuff in it. It's got a few new magic OCCs, and it's just good stuff, man. It really is.
Okay.
And the Flesh Sculptor is just like, ooh.
See, now I'm into that. Now, again, I'm not into overly gross for the sake of being gross, but I like body horror to the point where it gets a point across that this is either evil or bad or disgusting, and you should feel ways about stuff, and it shouldn't just be like, whatever, man.
Everyone should get along. No, some people don't get along, and they shouldn't get along.
Right. One of my Heathen Dog will get this reference. One of my favorite spells from the old Earth Dawn was Wither Flesh. It just basically, it makes your flesh change positions. And, that's not a good spell. That isn't something that somebody nice does to you, even if he's angry. Yeah. Okay.
I loved that spell with my Nethermancer in Earth Dawn. Yeah, yes, let's go. That one was awesome.
You have to imagine, like, what if all of your skin on your face shifted 3/4 of an inch down and to the left? What would you look like? You'd look like a walking nightmare. Is what you'd look like. You would make children cry and women scream, and people would be remembering you for the rest of their lives in their darkest moments.
Right. They're waking up at 2 a.m. in sweats going, oh, everything's okay now. Jeremy, you don't know this, but you're about to find out. When you mention the word Earth Dawn on this show, it's a drinking game. Everybody knows because I say it so often. We now have to drink.
But he finished all of his gin.
I'll drink for you.
Thank you. There we go. Somebody drank. Woo. What is it? Through the Glass Darkly explores the underground world of magic and sorcerers in the world of Nightbane. Could magic spells be alive and intelligent? Well, those aren't the ones you want to play with. When magic is smarter than you, there's a problem. Can they take on a life and identity, all their own? These and other questions are addressed within the pages of Through the Glass Darkly. Highlights include, before I even read these highlights, quick question. This doesn't just have to be used for Nightbane, right? Can you bring this into Beyond the Supernatural, Dead Rain, or, I don't know, Rifts?
Absolutely.
After the bomb?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be perfect and disgusting for Beyond the Supernatural.
Heathen Dog, will you time somebody out, please?
Sure.
Thank you. All right. So there you go, Malachi. Take that. Malachi's a member. He's been around a long time. Yeah, he'll be good.
Okay. I was like, what just happened?
No. They give me crap about Earth Dawn because they can. Let's just put it that way. They can. So
It's
I
dark
would.
magic. It's dark magic, I tell you.
50
Right, there you go.
magic spells, magic artifacts, talismans, charms, rules for creating variant magic and modifying current spells. Nemesis RCC, a dangerous reflection from the Nightlands.
And three adventures. Yep.
Scores of adventure idea. Oh, there's probably at least 20 or 30 hook, line, and sinkers in there.
Easily.
Yeah. But
Hold on. Do I have this book?
variant magic. That's the is that what you alluded to earlier with the whole magic can be alive and intelligent type thing?
Well, I don't want to blow it for people who get the book, but yeah, there's a bunch of really cool novel ideas throughout this book, and it also goes more into how to travel through the mirrors, because in Nightbane you can access the Nightlands, and in fact the Nightlands access our Earth through the mirror. So there's doppelgangers and all kinds of crazy stuff that's kind of tied to mirrors, and like your twisted duplicate. Like, what if your reflection in the mirror came out? It's kind of you and kind of isn't, is it?
Something like that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of, yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff with tweaking spells and warping things, and yeah, it's really it's really a great book.
If I were to look in the mirror and see this, I would find the nearest church. I don't care what denomination. I don't even care, like temple, church, mosque, whatever, and be like, please exorcise me, because we have a problem.
Yep.
Or
that could be your Nightbane Morphus.
Oh, not mine, sir.
Oh, he's a straight up Cenobite.
Yeah. Horror factor 22, and I'm keeping it. I don't care if the rules say 18. I'm keeping my 22. All right. So, Through the Glass Darkly audiobook. Now, this is one of the things for the folks out there. I don't know if audiobooks are going to be the way of the future, if really a lot of people like them. I remember when audiobooks like PDFs were like $2. Now the going rate for a PDF is around half the price of a physical copy. People are like, I'd never pay that. Well, guess what? People are still paying that. Well, audiobooks are the same thing. Remember, you have to pay the narrator. That isn't Kevin in the back room when he's sitting on the toilet going, I got 5 minutes here, I got to read. It's paying somebody really to narrate these things. So
why did you do that? Now that's in my head.
Because it's a horror episode, dude.
Oh.
The whole
wow,
episode.
You're unloading on everybody, on Kevin, on the audience, on me. It's mass hysteria up here.
Jeez. So Through the Glass Darkly audiobook, $23. Hold on here. Oh, there we go. There's $23. This here gives you the complete audio version of Through the Glass Darkly, which includes separate music track MP3s. So when you say separate music track, are we talking the backing audio, or are we talking like an actual, hey, here's an album to kind of go with it?
No, it's the back end audio.
Okay, that's what I thought, but what do they call that in the anime world? OVA or something? No.
It's just a soundtrack.
Well, they have some weird term for it when they I don't know. I don't do anime, but
your loss.
It's, in some regards, I wouldn't disagree with that. I want to see all of the Gundams. Through the Glass Darkly digital bundle, $25. Now, this is for just $2 more. What do you get for $2 more? It gives you the complete digital bundle of Through the Glass Darkly, which includes separate music track MP3s, audio, plus the PDF version. So look at that. You're getting a prorated PDF.
$2.
Yep.
We were just talking about that. It used to be $2. It is now, still $2.
Look. No, Pepina, I am in the minority here, and I know that. It's okay. In fact, Heathen Dog used to do anime reviews.
Yeah, he used to do one here, but
even made me do one.
Well, if you're going to get into the Gundam series, I recommend start with Iron-Blooded Orphans. You don't need to know anything about anything else Gundam, and it is hands down. It's so good.
My favorite's still Gundam Wing, but that's not what we're talking about here.
Okay. All right.
So you can talk to a Heathen Dog about Gundams, and you can talk to me about Earth Dawn. It's great.
There you go. Complete bundle.
the complete bundle for $29. So we've only increased the price by what, $6 from the beginning?
Yeah.
This tier gives you the complete audio version of Through the Glass Darkly, which includes a separate music track. Okay, got it. Plus the printed version of Through the Glass Darkly book. Wait. So I'm only paying $6 for a printed copy
and the PDF
and the
audiobook. Yeah.
You know where you're backing now, right? I mean, it's right
I
there.
didn't want it before, but now I gotta get it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't own any audiobooks. Well, apparently I do now.
And by the way, you can just click that QR code up there and it will bring you to this page. I'll probably take that off at some point. It kind of annoys me, but it's good for the advertisement. The audio, so purchase the printed version of Through the Glass Darkly book. Wait, what? Hold on. I want to make sure I'm reading this right, not screwing things up here. So, which includes separate music track, plus a printed version, plus a PDF version. So purchase the printed version. Oh, I see how you guys did that. Through the Glass Darkly book, and we'll give you the audiobook and PDF for free. You know what? You're trying to sell, this is not to Kevin, because I don't think he wrote this, but you're trying to sell the audiobook. You should have said, get the PDF and the printed version for free. I'm just saying, promote your audiobook,
like a much better deal.
Yeah. And we got our, is that the person who did the original one or no?
I was told it was not the.
Okay.
No.
Well, the first one I'll tell you was good, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to hire somebody who can't talk. So.
Yeah. Yep. And if they do, they just won't use that person again if it turns out bad. Yep. So
And I know all you weirdos out there will blame Kevin, even though Kevin had nothing to do with it. Kevin, why'd you get such a bad?
Why'd you get this guy?
And then Audio RPG, they talk a little bit about the company. You know what I like about this backer kit? It was clear, concise. It wasn't full of bloat. It told you what you got, what you were doing. Yep. I really, so Audio RPG, excellent job on this in terms of just getting us to the meat of what's going on here. Now, can we see our shipping estimates? This is if you get a physical product, obviously.
Look at that. European Union, 29. Canada, 39.
Look, it's more expensive for you to walk it across the street.
Zimbabwe, Madagascar, 49. Australia.
Canada and the UK is 39.
Be careful with some of those countries. Some of those countries they can't even ship to. But it's hilarious because you guys are up there in Michigan, and you could just walk across the street to Canada, and that's $40 right there. We're putting on a boat across the ocean, getting it to, as Heathen Dog said, Rwanda. That is only. Well, I guess it's $49, but okay, bring it to Italy there in the middle of the Mediterranean, going into the Straits of Gibraltar. It's only $29.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
Blame Canada. All right. Anything else? Because I don't know the book. I did check, and it is not one of the books that I have. So guess what? I might have to get here. I only have Box Nightmares, Dark Design, and Creature Feature.
You need the Nightlands book and this one. Those two are the best supplements, in my opinion, for the game.
What does Nightlands give me?
Everything about the Nightlands itself, which is the mirror worlds to what's going on.
Okay.
See,
Between the Shadows is really good too, but I like Through the Glass Darkly better than Between the Shadows.
If you're going to have an extended Nightbane campaign, you need to understand and properly incorporate the Nightlands. If you're not gonna have a whole big to do, right? Then you can have everything just exist on Earth after dark, after the lights out day, whatever, and have your characters be Nightbane and tribes and tribulations thereof, and that's fine. That's fine. But if you really want to dig deep, you want some kind of conclusion, then you have to address the Night Lords, and to do that properly, you have to address the minions, you have to address where they come from, and guess what? That's the Nightlands. You just need it.
Yep.
If you want to do a full-blown in-depth campaign.
Yeah, because most of the Night Lords themselves aren't on Earth. They've sent their avatars to Earth. They're sitting in the Nightlands. Yeah. They're too chicken to come to Earth and actually face you.
All right. Well, with that in mind, then let me change the QR code above me. go to the Palladium shop and buy all those other books that they were just talking about. I'm not a Nightbane guy, so I always look at, let me rephrase that. I don't get into the whole X-Files, so like Beyond the Supernatural, Nightbane, Dead Rain, and so forth, they're just not my style of game necessarily. There's great resources from them, so I always look for the resource, like how I can pull them into my game. So they just sold you on Nightbane. But I know one of these books, and you can tell me which one has the magic spell creation process. Because I was told that you got to get the Nightbane book, something. I forgot what it was. I didn't write it down. And they said it was one of the Nightbane books says, this is how you create spells for your game.
I want to say that's through the Glass Darkly, isn't it?
Yeah, it
okay.
said it in the thing where it has a
okay.
Magic, new magic rules, new magic spells, creation, stuff like that.
Well, there we go. Yet another reason to get the book and the audio book. And
yep.
See what I did there? See what I did, folks? Yeah, you got it. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about Nightbane other than how awesome of a setting it is? No, actually, no. Can you answer me one question? Because this is me being ignorant now.
Just one question. Okay.
One question.
Yeah, well, my questions turn into an hour and a half.
Yeah.
When I think of Nightbane, I'm obviously thinking about it incorrectly, because especially when I compare it to Beyond the Supernatural, I see Beyond the Supernatural as something you can do as a campaign. You can do that as like an X-Files season 1, season 2, season 3, and do even more with that. I completely get that. Anytime I think of Nightbane, I can only think of one-shots. Like, man, that'd be such a great one-shot. I don't see, like, in my head, I can't picture the campaign for that as easily as I can for Beyond the Supernatural and even Dead Rain. How do you, yeah, just generically, like, how does that turn into a campaign? Not just a one-shot, yay, we beat some big, bad Night Lord.
You mind if I do this one, Kevin?
Jeremy, what do you say about this?
We want to know what you think about this, Jeremy.
Okay, so one of the better things to do, because so Nightbane is first about a transition, right? So sure, the one shot's going to be how you went from a normal human being to suddenly having amorphous and dealing with the fallout of Dark Day, right? So sure, you can do a one shot about that, but there's so much more afterwards. You're now part of this grand conspiracy. The world is being taken over. Right? World leaders, corporate CEOs and tech bros, like all the people that move and shake the world are at risk of being replaced by these evil minions of the Night Lords. And you're one of the only people that can do anything about it. So it kind of becomes a conspiracy, gothic horror superhero game at that point. Right? And that has a lot of longevity to it. You have everything from dealing with the NSA and other, obviously now Homeland Security, and those bureaus being compromised, but then also the cells that realized they were compromised and are trying to do something about it. So you could get allies in the government. You've got Nightbane factions that are doing their own things. There's a few different factions that have got their own way of trying to deal with this conspiracy. And then you find out about other things like vampires and guardians that are doing their own thing. And so it's this, you don't have like just good versus evil. You have all these different factions that have their own way of what they think is the right way to approach this, but against one primary enemy.
Heck, at this point, Jeremy's energy alone is going to be me buying all the books.
Well, also, what I've found is that Nightbane is a really great campaign setting for teenage boys. Sorry, girls, this one's not for you. Right?
Wow.
Teenage boy. Why?
I would disagree with that, but go ahead.
I know you would disagree, and you'd be wrong.
First off, you have not met too many teenage girls, right? Like, one, they can be 1,000 times creepier and more goth and more unsettling than any boy could ever dream of being.
You are right.
And this game is their chef's kiss to making all of their nightmares come true, and sicking those nightmares on everyone they hate.
And that's why you don't want them around. All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for making me sexist. I appreciate it.
The comments mentioned on this live stream do not reflect all of Legion of Myth.
The whole premise of Nightbane is coming to terms with a rapid and seemingly grotesque change in your body, which is puberty, baby. That's what it is.
Everybody,
it's puberty. So
everyone relates to it.
Everyone can relate to that, but a guy's growth is much more rapid, and a lot of people find it unnerving as it's happening to them. And yeah, I mean that's exactly what you become as a Nightbane. You just go through puberty again. And
I'm so getting one of those the more you know.
But actually, here's the thing, Heathen Dog. You're also kind of wrong on that. Not every Morphus is grotesque. In fact, there's entire like factions based off of whether or not you're a beautiful Morphus versus a horrible.
Even worse. Oh, did
you could
puberty turn you into Brad Pitt?
Right, you could be a Joe.
Well, here's your click.
Gorgeous, right? So you be even like, so you could be like Joe Average, right, or Jill Average as your normal facade, and your Morphus could be this super angelic superstar supermodel, right?
Yeah,
and so you've got to deal with that.
Yeah, if you roll like you're supposed to roll, on all the tables, the odds of that are so low. It's much more likely you're not going to be Morphused into Brad Pitt. You're going to be Morphused into like Joe Pesci, right? It's probably going the other way, right?
Right. Oh my God!
Fuck you at the drive-through.
Exactly.
What do you mean I'm a Ute?
Well, so now that Kevin never wants to come back and join us again, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so hey, I'm convinced you can do more with Nightbane now. Like I said, it was my ignorance. I get it. Now for you people out there who are like, I don't know, I've got this other one. Why would I do Nightbane? Let me ask, so this one other, can they be incorporated well? Like, can you take Beyond the Supernatural and incorporate Nightbane? Or are they little, is there more separation than what I'm seeing?
I think there's more separation. I think it would be easier to take Beyond the Supernatural and put it into Nightbane than the other way around. Because this really is kind of a They Live X-Files on steroids kind of setting. And it is very kind of superhero-y because, like Jeremy had mentioned how, you know about the Night Lords. Well, the reason you know about the Night Lords is you can sense the demonic as a Nightbane, but they can also sense you when you appear in your Morphus form, which is the only way you can actually fight the Night Lords. So when you turn, and it's kind of Hulk-like or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the sense of you kind of turn into a monster to fight the monsters, which I love. I think that's a cool twist to things. And so you become this grotesque often or certainly frightening or bizarre manifestation of yourself in your Morphus Nightbane form. But in that form, you may have all kinds of special abilities. You have spell casting type abilities known as talents. You have other powers and abilities. So you kind of become the superhero. Of course, the problem is, you don't have a mentor. You don't have a rule book on how to use your super abilities. So not only do you suddenly turn from Joe Average to some kind of monster, you have to figure out how to use your powers. You got to figure out how to avoid the Night Lords. And that's where the doppelgangers and things come in. They're part of their minions. So the cool and scary thing is, your teacher, your mother could be replaced with one of these doppelgangers or other shape-changing minion. And so you just get dragged into this, dark underworld of conspiracy and heroics and super abilities and monsters. It's a fun, bizarre urban fantasy kind of mix. So it's a very distinct setting.
Excellent.
And what's nice with Through the Glass Darkly, like the core book can tell you about doppelgangers, right? Which are just your double in the Nightlands. But Nemesis in Through the Glass Darkly is cranking that up to 11. That's where you're,
Yeah.
as a GM, you're handcrafting a personal replicant of the hero and sicking it on them, which is awesome.
Okay.
Go get him, boy.
Awesome for somebody, not for him.
Awesome. Well, that is, I think that's really good information. We've talked about the audiobook. We've talked about Nightbane itself. I think we hit the second half of this here in just a moment after we read a super chat, and let's just dive into, let's talk more about role-playing horror, whether it's, tension, suspense, body horror for kids, campaign, one-shots, et cetera, to prepare you and me for Halloween. Get that off the screen there. Please back again, you can use the QR code I just dropped off the screen there. You rewind, it's YouTube. To back the audiobook, or go to Palladium Books and get the books there, because I know you're interested in Nightbane now.
Yep. All right, CPK says, in the unlikely event a world is freed from the Night Lords, can they come back? Now, from what I understand from reading the main book, it took a significant amount of magical power to cause the Dark Day event and open portals to our world from the Shadowlands. So I imagine they couldn't do that all the time. But if there was a way, I don't remember seeing in the book, if there was a way to close off Earth, or this version of Earth from the Shadowlands, could they just reopen it later? Is there an actual win, or is it just stalling action?
I think you could. I think you could get rid of the Night Lords and keep them out. But yeah, theoretically, they could come back at some point if things all fell into place.
Yeah, most likely it's just live to fight another day type thing. CPK.
Yeah, I think once you've raved Earth's magics to that level, it'd be really hard to kind of keep them from coming back at that point.
Well, Jeremy's response would be send all the teenage girls there because they're super scary.
The war's over with. Night Lords lose.
Oh,
everyone.
And it's party all the time. Yep.
Now, mind you, the rest of us will lose too, but for completely different reasons.
Fair enough. All right.
Well, where do we go from there? Oh, wait. Yeah, we're talking about horror role playing. So so first of all, back when I was doing GMI, which will come back, Game Master Insight, which will come back in January 2026, took a break from it for various reasons that I didn't deal with. Kevin was on previously talking about horror role playing, but since people don't watch back videos at all ever, it seems, we're gonna do this again. This time we're gonna do it before Halloween to actually help some folks out. We only have about an hour, if we're lucky, an hour and a half to talk about this, but I think we can dive into a few things. But I want to ask this in a little bit different way, which is, Kevin, what is the number one thing? We're going to start negative because that's what we do here. We hate everybody. Yeah. What is the number one thing that you think that people get wrong when they do horror, whether it's a one-shot campaign or whatever?
That's a good question.
Jeremy, would you like to handle that one?
Jeremy, what do you think about that?
I was waiting for that. What do they do wrong? I would say not having a proper out, right? It's okay to have a lot of dead ends, and dead ends are stories where the character's going to die, right? No matter, but having it to where no matter what choice you make, you're going to lose. I've seen that really often in a lot of horror-based games. You want someone to have skin in the game. You want to tease, even if it's threading a needle for them to win. You've got to give them that light at the end of the tunnel. Don't turn it into a train. Make it an actual escape.
That's actually something that Heathen Dog and I have argued about over the past. There are a couple of games out there. One of them was a Death in Space. He didn't like it at all because he sees that the game has no hope. Yeah. I think that the game gives you that just little tiny pinhole of hope, which makes it my favorite game ever. That type of game of like, look, I know the chances are we're going to lose, but I see the light, and it is a real light there. It's not some sort of obfuscation like, haha, dangle this in front of you. It's really not there. I love games like that where there is hope. You got to be smart about it. You got to roll well, all that combination of stuff. So I agree with what you had to say there, Jeremy. I like that.
Yeah, let's say too many people, though, they don't have it at all. It's just, it's like playing Human-Occupied Landfill or Paranoia, right? Where really there is, the end of the game is the death of your character, have a nice day, right? You got to,
it's 6.
Right?
Well, like a lot of things, you kind of have to, you often mention game 0. You kind of have to figure out exactly what kind of horror story you're going to tell. And how you're going to tell it. So, for example, I would not recommend basically splatter films as a great example where all the characters are going to die. Although Eric Woodjick did a beautiful thing in the original Beyond the Supernatural with victim characters, but it was a little tongue-in-cheek, building on the concept of, hey, you hear some horrible noise in the basement, and the lights wouldn't go out. What do you do? Well, in real life, we'd all be running out of the house screaming. But instead, you're going to go down and, as you're going down, you realize your foot's stepping in some kind of liquid. And as you put your flashlight down, it's blood. I think I'm running out of the house screaming and calling 911. But in a victim story, you go down and let yourself be added to the blood and the body count because you're going to die because there's something horrible in the basement, you stupid bastards.
I'm sorry, but that cheerleader and that jock, they deserve it. They do the same thing in every movie. They deserve it.
And again, if that's the kind of story you want to tell, yay, go do it. You got tons of reference in film. But I agree with you guys that, with my superhero or comic book background, yeah, I want the good guys to win. I want them to figure out what the horrible evil is and find a way to destroy it or send it back to hell or whatever the case may be, and come out okay. Personally, and I realize I don't want to offend a lot of Chaosium fans, and I'm friends with the guys who run Chaosium. We go to Chaosium Con every spring. But that's one of the things one of my problems I have with Call of Cthulhu is that, a win is that you kind of defeated the monster and walked away completely insane.
You're saying enough for the next session.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a downer. That's not a win. So
did you like something like Spawn? So in terms of comic books, did you like something like Spawn that had that ticker on the bottom? Like, hey, every time he did something, that's one step closer to hell. Again, personally, I like that kind of stuff.
Again, it depends on what story you're trying to tell and what you want to do. Yeah, I mean, there's all, that's the cool thing. There's all kinds of things with horror, and then it becomes, I think people overthink horror. And they think like I got to have all kinds of, suspense and terror and intrigue, and all those things can be awesome if you can handle it, but don't overcumber it, with all the little stupid details. Go with what you're having fun with. Go with what your players are having fun with. You can have, basically a bug hunt. We're hunting down the werewolf or the vampire, and there's nothing wrong with that kind of classic story. I mean, you can play Fright Night or any freaking Hammer movie from the 1960s where you're fighting Dracula. That's all fine. Again, that's what I mean by figure out the story you want to tell. Personally, I like more kind of stories with suspense and intrigue and little twists. So I'm more of an X-File-y kind of guy. I although I loved Kolchak the Night Stalker when it came out in the 70s, and those kind of things. It's funny, I never really think of myself as a horror guy, just like I never thought of myself as a zombie guy. But when I look back at it, I've probably seen hundreds of horror movies, and I do enjoy that type of film. when it's done well. I just personally, I want the heroes to win. So getting back to sort of the make sure there's an out, make sure they can figure out what's going on, so they just don't get eaten or swallowed or dragged to hell at the very end. That's not real fun. Giving them a real fighting chance, and just have fun with it.
You said you like suspense. How do you build suspense at the table? Again, this is going to be more of a personality quirk probably with some people, but I know some people, like my imagination, I can get into anything. My imagination, we were talking about this on my Discord. I have about 10 voices talking to me. Don't make the joke. Stop it. I've always got an internal monologue going on, and when I read something or when I hear something, man, I can visualize the heck out of it. I've always told people I wish I could draw what I see in my head. It'd either creep you out or I'd be a really famous artist. But
why not both?
Well, that's how it usually goes, right? But not everybody has that, and so some people are sitting there, and you think you're telling the creepiest thing ever, and they're just like, okay, I poke it with the stick, you know. So how do you generically build that suspense up for folks so that everybody at the table in some degree can feel it?
I don't want to do it, Jeremy, but I have to. What do you think, Jeremy?
I love it.
I saw that one coming from a mile away.
I can tell by the look on your face.
Notice we're not asking you any questions, right, Jeremy? They're all going to Kevin, and then they get deferred.
Right. No, so this was a fun question, though. I'm really glad this one got deferred to me because I was digging what you were saying. I'm exactly the same way you are, Max. It's my imagination visualizes everything I'm told, and I'm like you. It's like, you know, sometimes you'll give these like great descriptions or things, and you'll try to build that suspense. And what I learned is you've got to put player skin in the game, right? So in that session 0, when they're making their characters, you know, have them make backstories. It doesn't have to be like 3 pages, a few paragraphs, 1 or 2, 3 paragraphs, some people that they're related to, friends, what they do for a living, little tiny bits of story bits that put them in the game, and then use those story bits. Like, make that what the game is woven together with. And it doesn't mean start picking off all their friends and family, but make them affected by what's going on. So it's not just like, I'm going to use my superpowers to go ahead and stop the Night Lords. It's cool. You have the power to do something, but the people you care about don't. So how are you going to now use your power to protect them? And that's suspense. That's building up drama. That's putting more skin in the game than they thought they initially had. And I find that often works really well. Give them new intriguing NPCs that they form relationships and bonds with, and have things happen to those NPCs. Some can defend themselves, some can't. Some turn out to be the big bad evil guy, and some aren't, you know? But always be weaving them into the story and making the story feel like it's about them.
Okay.
I like to use rumors and legends and kind of help set things up. So it's like, okay, something has happened. So I'll set up where people are disappearing, or maybe there's been some gruesome murder. And for whatever reason, our heroes, whether they think it's, you know, a Night Lord's behind it, or a renegade Nightbane, or, you know, some creature from beyond the supernatural, whatever setting and situation you're in, Call of Cthulhu. Something bad happens. That's sort of the setup. They're brought in to investigate. You know, and I like having things where, like, you know, the police are like, it's clearly a serial killer or some maniac, and we'll track him down. But our heroes, who are parapsychologists or psychics or Nightbane, they sit back and go, oh man, I think this is the handiwork of, you know, X, Y, or Z. And then as they investigate more about it, they start getting rumors and legends about the area, about, you know, strange things that happen every 5 years or 20 years or whatever the case may be. Or, you know, people on the street say they saw this or that. And then again, they start to think, oh, could it be this? Could it be that? I like giving them red herrings. So I like setting it up where it looks like, oh, it's a vampire, it's a werewolf, and then it turns out to be something much different or much scarier, and so I like setting them up for that kind of thing. And then as far as other ways to suspense, sometimes little details. So you set it up with the rumors, and I always give them like 3 or 4 different rumors that are completely different things. I mean, some of them might seem like it's leading up to this or that, but ultimately it's like, some people think it's this, and one rumor says that, and one rumor says this, and it's like, well, which could it be? I don't know. And so you get the wheels spinning, and then as they're progressing, I give them little clues and little incidents, and sometimes just even the classic jump scare where it's like, yeah, the rest of the group went out to check something out, and you're there, and you're like, it's the floorboard squeaking upstairs, but there's no one in the house. Does it sound like footsteps? And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Then there's a thump, and like, what are you doing? Or, gee, you hear whimpering. Like someone's like, well, can I tell where it is? I don't know. Roll perception roll. Yeah, or no, you can't. Or yeah, it sounds like it's coming from upstairs or the attic or the basement or whatever the hell it is. And it's like, so what are you doing? Well, I'm going to wait for the rest of the group, or I'm going to call them on a walkie-talkie or my cell phone. And it's like, oh, but maybe the phone doesn't work. You just get static. And again, you're building up that kind of, well, shit, I'm all alone in the house with something
that can block phone signals.
And for those who missed that episode last week, it's called the Cerebro Scrambler. I covered it out of Rift's Bestiary number 1.
You did. You did. Now, that is Kevin actually got the one I was going to say, is a lot of game masters reveal the scope of the problem too quickly. Like people going missing, right, is different than people found mutilated on some altar somewhere with their guts hanging out and completely exsanguinated. You don't jump to the end, man. You don't jump to that. People start off missing, and then you investigate into that. Some other stuff happens maybe that leads you to this giant bucket of blood. You're like, what the hell's this giant bucket?
Why are all these cows decapitated?
Exactly. And then that leads you to ritual sacrifice altar nonsense, right? You don't just jump into that. I've seen some game masters pull the trigger on the big horror too fast, too quickly, and no one is really invested in it yet. They didn't work for it, so it seems cheap.
Yeah, that investing is really, in my experience, I find that investing, I can usually get half the table invested, no problem. It's the other half of the table that either has some sort of character that's just like, whatever, man, I just shoot it, or because Heathen Dog was there for this, is playing on his Game Boy the entire time when it's not his turn. It's just, so I find that, man, I can get certain people like, and you can see in their face that they're trying to roleplay their characters. They're being creeped out. Like, we got to figure this stuff out. With the other one's like, I don't know, let's just go over there and we'll go talk to those. I find it difficult to wrap everybody in the same thing because everybody's got a different threshold for that kind of suspense. You mentioned Kevin. It's funny. Right as I was thinking it, you said jump scare. I wouldn't know how to pull off a jump scare on somebody. I can do the suspense side of it, but an actual jump scare, other than saying roll initiative. Well, what? But that's lame. That's lazy.
So I think the first thing that should be said is everyone who plays in a game is going to have a slightly different and sometimes radically different experience in the game. And you're not always going to get that person, or you're not always going to get the reaction that you're expecting. And that's okay. I had a guy in one of my fantasy games where I thought he was having a terrible time because I couldn't get him involved in the games at all. He was kind of playing timid and smart at the same time. So, for example, he would be standing. So he would be the guy who I'm going to stand guard at the door and make sure the door doesn't close, make sure no one's coming. And then when I say you hear a strange noise or you see a shape in the distance, or someone says, hey, a voice is calling out and you see a shadowy figure, and I'm thinking this is his chance to communicate with it, to walk over to it. I draw my sword and I prepare for combat. No, he did a smart thing. I go get the rest of the group.
Hey, let's split up. No, not me.
and the rest of the group shows up and he stands back and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy, this is back with the Defilers where, we're running I'm running like 12 hours. A typical game session is 10, 12 hours with 26 people. And I'm thinking this poor guy is having the worst time. And I finally pulled him aside and said, I'm sorry. I feel like, he's like, oh my God, no, this is the best role-playing game I've ever played in. And I'm like, really? So it's okay. Every person is different. Every person is going to react different. They're going to have a different experience. Clearly he was still having fun.
Yeah. Some people as a kid want to grow up to be a librarian. Okay. It makes them happy. So him being the only smart guy in a horror movie, that's his thing.
Well, I want to take something that Kevin said to the next level a little bit, because obviously Kevin wasn't implying what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say this grotesquely so that I can get people angry. But I don't want to call it ruining the game, but some people are there to try to beat the game. For example, with what Kevin was saying, sure, if we're playing in a long-term Beyond the Supernatural game and we're all supposed to be really, intelligent investigators, I can see that point. But sometimes you're there to play within the spirit or the style of the game. And that means doing some of the dumb tropes that happen in the movie. You don't have to plan it out. You don't have to work it out with the game master, like, okay, I'm going to do this stupid thing here. Just understand the nature. And when you do that dumb thing, like going downstairs into the creepy basement, the door shuts and you're standing in the blood, don't look at, oh my God, were you so stupid? Why are you doing this? No, he was playing into the trope of the game to some degree. Enjoy that, kind of play out that movie without trying to necessarily copy a particular movie, so to speak. Have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then isolating, I think isolating characters that generally creeps them out.
Yeah, if you can trick a player into a compromising situation that they didn't realize was compromising until they got there, like all of the things that happened were normal things, like there's a knock at the door. It wasn't a creepy knock. It wasn't, oh man, I'm on set on The Fog or anything. It was a regular knock at the door. It gets you to the door. You open the door. There's no one there. That's weird, but it's not, I'm in danger, right? So
maybe I heard something.
Yeah. You close the door and then you walk back in your room, you make a perception check and you realize that, why is that window open? And then the normal thing to do would be to go over there and close the window. And that's when the first trap happens. The first event that is actually, oh no, I could be screwed. Could be, somebody grabs you through the window. Could be something was set up at the floor near the window so when you walked over there to close it, if something happens, stuff like that. You make them walk into it, but when they look back, you're like, well, there's nothing else I really could have done, because I didn't know I was in danger.
Well, and you can do a series of those things too. It's like the slow build. I'm a big fan of the slow build. Mm-hmm. So first there's no one at the door, and then who opened the damn window? And then it's like, there's the creaking floor, but there's no one there either. And it's like, what the hell? And it's sort of that building of something is clearly afoot, or is it? Is it in my imagination?
Well, Walter
You know,
MC said something here that I really like that goes along with that. Kevin says, ding dong ditch those damn kids. But that only works if you actually have them play ding dong ditch once or twice before this even comes up. But if you set up the motif beforehand, like as in you've seen this before, maybe it's even a running gag. Like, Jeremy, what do you think about this? As time goes on, all of a sudden, then you got that one time. It's like, no, Jeremy, somebody's dying. What do you think about this? Where it's like, oh crap, no, this is real now. Where you can play into that. So Kevin, I agree 100% with that slow build. I don't think a lot of people that I've played with can pull it off, because Heathen Dog said something earlier that happens so often. They release the hound, so to speak, too early. They let the cat out of the bag too early.
Yep.
Well, and along those lines, I like to have a situation where they think they figured it out and they cornered the creature or the cultist or the psycho killer. And it's like, all right, we got him. We're going to, take him to the police or kill the creature. And maybe they do kill the creature. And then the big bad steps out of the shadows and they're like, oh, shit.
The thing we thought was the main bad guy was just a minion.
Henchman. Yep.
And then everybody looks at Heathen Dog and says, dude, I only have half my hit points. You suck.
God, I want to tell you.
No, the players do that
hit
craziness.
Points are a resource that you should watch more carefully, son. Okay.
Can you? But I've been there. I don't know if Heathen Dog was in the game, but this is actually one of the games that we played on Andrews. Where I remember that happened. It's like, dude, we just got done fighting and now you're putting this other thing at us. And it made perfect sense for it to come out of, pretty much like Kevin said, out of the woods. Like, yeah, that was all the lead up. You guys just went in straight forward, and I was part of the problem in that one. You guys just rushed forward. Yeah, you got beat up a little bit, and now you have to handle this thing at half your life and half your resources and half, whatever. I think that that helps to add intensity. Using the game mechanics helps to add intensity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the smart move might be to just run away.
Yeah. Running away is always an option.
Except for the doors don't open now.
Okay, now, all right. At this point, if there's no escape and I'm half dead and I've cast all my spells and all that stuff, whatever, I'm gonna feel some ways. Yeah, okay, I get it now. I'm gonna feel some ways.
Right, but if you got a big bad coming out of the forest, right? Like, the Lord of the Woods has now come out because you were trying. No, you run away.
Yeah, you go away. Like,
you like Monty Python. Run away.
Sorry, farmer. He might get you, but we'll come back later and save the rest of the people.
Right, exactly. That's the consequences of making foolish decisions early on. Yeah.
Someone else is gonna die, and you got to live with that. But
or
tomorrow you come back with, five flamethrowers, some napalm, and a couple frag grenades, and you'll be all right.
Or some NPCs resolve it for you, and you just feel dumb.
Hey, it's over, right? No, you're right. I'd feel bad if a stupid NPC got to get the the
cops and the sheriff finally show up. Thanks for slowing it down for us, but the cops and the sheriff and their one psychic investigator show.
They get to take it out right over the goal line. I go 99 yards. He picks up the ball, goes 1 yard, and then he gets the prom queen and stuff, and I get nothing. Like, damn it.
Unless my players have made very foolish decisions that kind of deserve something like that, and I'm trying to teach them a lesson, I rarely try to pull the rug out from underneath them like that. That's buzz killing the story really badly.
I mean, they are supposed to be the heroes of the story, so to speak. Even you're playing like a darker, grittier one that I tend to run, where I don't believe you're the hero of the story. I just believe you're taking part in the world and you make yourself a hero. You aren't born a hero, so to speak. I agree 100%. You still don't want to just be like, those guys did it, unless, exactly as you said, it's time to teach them a little bit of a lesson.
Right. And so, obviously things go awry sometimes. Or just sometimes it's just bad rolls of the dice. Yep. I always try to give my players some out, and especially if it's a campaign, maybe they're taken captive, and now they're shitting bricks until the next game because they're the ones that are going to be sacrificed. Beginning
the bees,
of next
not
session.
the bees. Yep.
And then you got to give them ways that they can escape or get out and get the upper hand. And sometimes it's good even just to slow things down. So like as a game master, I hate killing players, although sometimes you just have to.
Never kill players, Kevin. It's always
Never
the
kill
characters.
players.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to kill
Killing players
players,
is illegal.
but you never should. Even in a horror campaign, you should kill the players.
That's one of the things I got wrong.
But
And that's why I still can't go to Pittsburgh.
That's how you do jump scares at the table.
there you go.
One accidental
No,
stab. me,
and all you have to do is kill one of them.
Yeah, the other ones will fall in line.
But sometimes just slowing it down to give yourself a chance to figure out how to give them that out. It gives them time to maybe figure out that out. And I've told this story before. It was a Beyond the Supernatural story or a game, and it was a convention game, so it's a one shot. And the whole group is basically in trouble. There's one guy outside the house who might be able to help them if he figures out what's going on. And I'm trying to figure out in my mind, how can I lure this guy in so he can save the rest of the group? And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So I'm having the big bad guy, some cult leader who's got demons and whatnot under his command. You know, he's got them. He's caught them all except for the guy outside the house that he doesn't know about. And that player is trying to figure out what he can do to help the group. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm thinking, am I going to kill everybody? How am I giving these guys an out? You know, like you were saying, maybe NPCs, you know, there's a knock on the door that they're not expecting, and it's the police, or it's, you know, the Girl Scouts, but I think it's the police. And, you know, and so it causes confusion and everyone gets a chance to do something. But in this particular case, and I've told this story before, one of the players was like an 82-year-old scholar, Professor Higgins. And the guy playing him says, and he's got no weapons. He goes, but I've got my fountain pen in my pocket, right? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, can I slip my hand slowly into the, and even if the big bad guy or his minions see it, they're like, it's a little stinking old man. What's he going to do? And I've got the big bad, you know, giving his, this is my plan. I'm going to reveal everything now because I got you guys by your short hairs, and you know, you're all going to die in the next second. And the player says, so I slowly uncap the pen and I put it in my hand, and it's like, can I plunge it into his jugular? And I'm like, you can try. He rolls a natural 20. Rips it out. It's like the minions are like, the master. And this guy's like, oh. And the rest of the group's like, holy moly, man, that's fantastic.
God damn, bro, you're hardcore.
Yep.
And I didn't have to figure out anything as the game master to save their butt. One of them figured out a way to, and you know, what's the odds that was going to work? Apparently 1 in 20, and he, so, you know, kind of go with the flow and give it some time and don't panic. It'll probably work out.
And if it doesn't, then you just tell the players they were stupid, and that was it.
Oh wow. Yeah, in terms of pacing, I know that's been a term recently. I don't know if that's something you talked about, you know, in the 80s or whatever, but I never heard it until the 2000s. Like, pacing's for movies, it's not for role-playing games in my view. But people talk about trying to maintain the pacing. But sometimes, like you said, you just step back for a second. It's okay. You know what? I used to love the cigarette breaks in the 90s. You know, I think it's time to take 5 for a cigarette break out there, and you'd listen to the players talk, and you know, you'd be talking like, yeah, this is what happened. In the meantime, I'm trying, okay, what's the next thing I got to do? I got to get them out of this situation, or I got to get I got to get them forward
or to there, or I need them to pick this up. I need them to notice this.
Well, really, I need them to make a decision, is what it was for most of the, you know, most of our, like, what are you guys going to do? But yeah, I mean, that slow down for a second. Plus, in my experience, that is a great way to build tension, and you can do some really asshole maneuvers like this, like start spinning the dice in your hand, start tapping the table, tick, 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 tick. Not to be annoying, like as in pen clicking, you know, but just kind of let them get that feel that the passage of time is going on while they're thinking here without saying, what are you guys going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? There are some tricks that will help build up that suspense a little bit as well. And sometimes that the game master saying nothing can be, what's happening? What's going on? What's
Well,
you guys do?
Personally, I'm a big fan of giving the players time, especially if it's the players who need the time. If it's like, okay, we're huddling to figure out what we're going to do, I go to the bathroom, I grab myself a snack or a new, can of soda. Let them figure it out. And then when they're ready, it's like, okay, let's do this. And then again, as far as like kind of cheater suspense, like you were saying with the, kind of juggling the dice around, or, when they say, I'm going to can I do this or that? And it's like, or can I do this? It's like, are you sure? Is that what you want to do?
Because when the game master says, do you really want to do that?
And it's like, and maybe it's fine, but I want them to kind of second guess themselves. And it's like, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, try it.
Especially when it works out, that actually builds that thrill up a little bit as well. Because the game, when the game master says, "Are you sure you want to do that, or is that what you really want to do?" They're like, wait, hold. Is he trying to give me a hint? And then when it works out for you, you kind of get that thrill of victory, so to speak. Like, I got one over on you, game master, which really you didn't, but
yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy, what do you think about this?
I really can't add more to that. No, that one's perfect.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right.
Doug, you run more horror games. What do you got?
I got one. What do you guys think about how hard a game should go on gore?
That depends. Once again, with the session 0, right? Like, is that what your group's looking for?
We are imagining that this session 0, the players have no agency at all. they are at my table. They get what they get, and they like it.
Well, once again, what type of story are you trying to tell? Are you trying to do a gore fest? Like, if that's what you're aiming for, then
that's not what I mean. I mean, how much is too much, even if that's what you were going for. Like this is a slasher film. People are going to be eviscerated. They're going to be like killed, like Jason Voorhees is going to fold you like a chair, like some stuff like that. Like, how much do you actually describe before people are like, dude?
I think it's a pacing thing. Like you just add a few extra little bits of flavor in with things you would normally describe to begin with, So it's like spaghetti, right? You put too much Parmesan cheese on it or garlic, and you've overdone it. Find that nice blend. It's just Max is shaking his head.
I need a flashlight, man. Where is that happy place?
I think it really depends on the group, and I know a lot of people are going to groan when I say this, but you kind of have to read the room,
right?
If you're telling them stuff and you can tell from their reactions they're starting to get grossed out or turned off, then ratchet it back a bit, and stop there.
I have to disagree with that. If they're grossed out, that's when I've hit that.
Go harder.
I'm dead serious. Now, I don't do it all the time, but absolutely. It's when they're sitting there like, okay, he's bleeding, his intestines are on the floor, yada, yada. That's when I'm like, okay, I got to change up here. But to be very, very clear, and people have heard me say this a lot, I run visceral games. You guys like anime, so I can use this as the example. I love the beginning of Goblin Slayer. I love it, but they only had to do it one time. It wasn't in every episode. That is important to me. You got the message right away. That's how I try to do that myself. So yes, I've had people tell me like, dude, you really didn't have to go into all that detail. And I'm like, yes, I actually did. Because now I don't have to when I mention this stuff again. Now when you see something again, you're like,
remember this.
Right.
And then I don't have to
just bring little bits of it.
You're describing it to yourself.
But you kind of said
Sorry.
But you kind of said what the point I'm trying to make is, you could tell they went, holy shit, did you really have to do that? And you're like, yes, but you don't do it over and over and
Fair.
over
Okay,
again.
okay. All right, I
That's
get
my point, is
I get it.
kind of read the room. And if you hit that level where they got it, stop there and move on, or hint at the rest of it.
Firecracker.
Because you've already set their imaginations going.
Okay. So
That's fair.
the answer is, if you can hit them hard, quick, you can then pull back and insinuate for a while. Build up a little bit from there. For you went to an 8, bring it back to a 3, then slowly build 4, 5, 6, 7, and then at the very end, maybe you can do another 8, or maybe even a 9 or a 10 at the very last thing.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So Kevin did a great job earlier when he was talking about, going downstairs and you're stepping in the blood and so forth. A lot of times, again, for me, this is great. Apparently for Jeremy, this is great as well. For some people, it doesn't work so well. My imagination will take that to places you don't have to talk about. Okay.
Right.
The problem is I've also played with players that are like, so there's blood on the floor. Just like, so having a bit of that extra, I've said this a million times, I'll say it again, one of my favorite scenes of all time to kind of get this point across is the beginning of Braveheart. When the kid goes in the shed and he sees the people hanging there. You didn't need much more. You knew the rest of the movie why he was pissed off.
Yeah.
Forget the history part of it. Just I'm talking the movie part. Why he was pissed off. I love that scene, and ever since I saw that scene, I was like, that is what I want to instill in my games. Where there you go. Now the rest of the movie, I don't have to tell you all types of nonsense because you've got that, vision in you.
Well, exactly. You set the tone, you set the mood, and you kind of set up what you're up against. In the case of Braveheart, these kind of violent attacks and injustices where entire families are strung up, and this is why we hate the bad guy. I'm totally up for that, and especially in a horror, in a horror campaign, this is why the monsters got to be destroyed, or the cultists have to be stopped because they're terrible people or creatures. That works great. And also in the horror campaign, if you don't know what strung up all the people, can you imagine? And again, in real life, if you walk into a room and all these people are hanging there, and I mean, who did this? Especially in a modern setting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly it's a monster, or some kind of lunatic, or a gang,
A cult,
aliens,
or a cult. I mean, it's something. Whatever it is, it's really bad.
Yep.
And you can twist that, since we're talking horror. I mean, is it done is it ritual torture? Is it ritual sacrifice? Are they strung up in a particular way? Are they upside down cross? Are they on an altar? There's all kinds of things that set up what it could be in that specific horror.
And it's always so fun to have it be somebody mundane, like the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Like this wasn't a priest gone bad. This wasn't the satanic cult. This wasn't well, obviously sadistic lunatic, but the person you would think of as sadistic. No, it was the 40
Joe.
Or the 40-year-old lady down the road that just keeps to herself, that no clue whatsoever. But all of a sudden, all the trails are leading to her place. No, it couldn't be her.
Well, and I like the idea of try different things. Watch different movies, read books and stuff.
Yes.
Draw your inspiration from all over the place. One of my a nice thing that one of my favorite movies is Pumpkinhead, which a lot of people aren't familiar with, but it's awesome. And I don't want to be the guy who spoils things for you. Just, it starts out what appears to be a splatter movie, and it sets it up nicely where you sit back and go, yeah, kill these mothers, because they were just reckless and whatever. Although there's one guy who is actually responsible, who regrets what happens, and you kind of feel bad for him, but it's like, okay, it's the classic splatter film setup. And our I guess bad guy monster seeks revenge, and so he unleashes this force, this creature of vengeance, and you expect all these teenagers and 20 somethings are all going to get slaughtered in some horrible way. And then there's that beautiful moment where there's that twist in the movie where the guy who set this all in motion with righteous indignation sits back and says, "Oh my God, this is horrific. This is wrong. I should not have done this." And it gives the whole movie a whole different spin, and it's beautiful. It's just so well done, and the monster's Stan Winston, so it's fucking great. I just love that movie, and so I mean that's a great example of it doesn't have to be just straight up combat or slaughter fest. It can be something more, and that's the kind of adventure in the game that the players are going to remember and are going to have more impact. So yeah, really think about it and have fun with it. And if you can give it a twist or a zing, you do it.
I have a pass-through question for Heathen Dog here.
Okay.
I know you're the perfect game master and you have no faults.
That's
but
100%.
if
Wow,
there's
I didn't know that. That's cool.
If there's one area that you would want to show, especially since you're going to be doing a Delta Green game on November 11th, which is our Veterans Day stream. If there's one area that you'd like to get a little advice or we won't call it advice, suggestion on to shore up your game, what would it be? What question do you have for Kevin or Jeremy to help you tighten up your game just that little bit more?
Okay. Missteps I have made in the past. I usually don't read the players like I should. Like anyone else in the room would have known that this was not going to make them happy, except me. Because, obviously, if I think it's a great ending, it's a great ending. Obviously. So, psychotherapy aside, what advice do you have for game masters who are coming up on an ending to their one shot or their short-term goal campaign, long-term goal campaign, but isn't sure that the players are going to react positively to it? And I don't mean like they're going to like it. I mean, it's going to something so bad that it's like, oh, it ruined the entire game.
They're not coming back next year.
They're not coming back. Stuff like that. How can a game master see this coming and divert?
That's a tough question.
I know.
Jeremy?
Yep,
what are your thoughts on
no, Jeremy, you're the only one who hasn't said it. You need to say it to yourself now.
Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this?
Here we go.
No one's gonna get that joke. God. All right.
Well, the joke is now no one gets it. So
yeah, right.
And it doesn't
It's a
matter.
meta joke now.
So no, I'd say somewhere right around the climax of your game, right? You have to ask yourself, what are the players getting out of this? Not the characters, but the players. Right? What are they getting out of this story? What are they wanting from it? And by then you should know something. You should have an idea of their play style, look into the decisions they've made for their characters. What have they seemed to have fun with? And there's only so much you can read, right? So as much as you kick yourself like, I can't read my players, yada, 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 don't go too ham on that, because sometimes some people are very difficult to read. But try, right? Like ask yourself, what do you think the players are going to walk away from this? 9 times out of 10, with that in mind, you'll actually run a great game. They'll be happy with your ending. You're never going to please everybody. You're always going to have, once in a while, that one player that they didn't communicate what they wanted from the game. You had a difficulty reading them. It wasn't their thing. It's not your fault, and it's not theirs. It just is what it is.
Oh no, see, that's where you're wrong. It's definitely their fault because it was a masterful end to the story. But Beat Magnet has an idea. You have a spy among the players that will tell you how the players feel and talk about the game when you're not around.
If you're running a one shot, that doesn't work.
Well, see, actually, that was kind of. So I was thinking the same thing, Jeremy, when it came to that comment. That's when it's a campaign. It's very easy to adjust, figure out what they
I have a
like.
spy in every campaign, but
Well,
in
you,
one shot,
you don't even need, in my groups, you didn't even need a spy. They just come and tell me, dude, that sucked, and here's why. One shots, on the other hand, those can be more difficult to read mid-game.
You don't have that time. You know,
I think it's easier because
really?
here's ultimately, yes.
Okay.
Because here's ultimately what a player in any RPG wants for their characters is 1, to be triumphant, and 2, to be special. So try to have a triumphant ending and try to have it so that every player has his character's moment and they feel like I accomplished something special in that game. And it's not always going to be everyone's, again, like the guy I told you about, always step back and let everyone else kind of do stuff. He still got fun out of it somehow. That's awesome. But, you may have that guy, but if 5 out of the 6 players went, holy shit, that was great. I loved it when my character did this and how we, worked together to destroy the big bad. Or we were all confused, but Bob's character stepped up, and that's all. That's ultimately what people want. They want to feel special and they want to feel triumphant. And if you deliver that at the end, you're going to have happy players.
To add to that, not every triumph or feeling special has to be their character surviving either. When you're doing a horror game, dying sometimes is part of the fun. But was it a fun way to die? Was it interesting? Was it, like was it cinematic? Right? Did they help the party get away? Did they sacrifice themselves for the greater good? Like things like that. Like you can make it a really cool experience for the player.
Well, let's get ready to drink again. Heathen Dog, would you like to tell your cavalryman story?
Oh yeah, this was my first.
Yeah, this was your first Earth Dawn character.
It was my first Earth Dawn character. We were like second circle.
Oh no! This was well after that. This is after you had the whole incident with Chris's character chopping him. You were like 5th or 6th circle. You had to have been.
Okay, I didn't think we were that high. Anyway, we went into this cave thing, and I took my horse because I couldn't leave it outside. I'm a cavalryman. I love my horse. My horse loves me. I'm not sure if cavalrymans are like love their mounts, but we're not going to get into that. All right.
Okay, Daniel Radcliffe, keep going.
There you go. Exactly. So we go in, and there's like what was it, a wyvern? Yeah.
Oh, that or Pegasus. I forget. It was flying.
It was a flying monster thing, and it was up in the air doing some swipes and coming down. So we didn't have we had an archer, but there's like throwing toothpicks at it, right? It wasn't doing a whole lot. So I'm like, wait a minute. Part of my ability is trick riding. What if I can jump on this thing and steer it into the ground or into a wall or something? Okay, so I get on my horse.
And remember, Earth Dawn's magically based, so it's not like this is out of.
So it's not skill.
No, this is great.
You don't know how to ride a wyvern, dude. I can ride anything. It's magic. All right,
exactly.
So I jump on the horse. I stand up on it. I have it run, and I jump on this thing's back, and I'm trying to get it down. And it's trying to throw me off. It's busting me into walls. I'm trying to get it down, and I get it to steer down, and it flips. I am on the wrong side of this rock monster sandwich. All right, the inside, by the way. That's the wrong side. Yep. So I know I'm done. This is not survivable.
Right.
So what I do is I pull my sword, I put the hilt to my chest and the blade toward the monster. So when it crashes in the ground, it just gets impaled.
To be clear, The monster did shake him off, but it was too late. The monster was going to hit the ground anyway, and he recognized this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we rolled damage, and I just happened to roll a lot. It wasn't dead, but it was no longer a problem. It was just on the ground going, and everyone else came and just finished it off.
Yep.
Like stabby stab.
And then
But
rolled the
your character
monster
was
off.
toast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they rolled the monster off of the Brett goo.
Yeah, I was paced at that point. I was chunky salsa. There was nothing left of me.
But
You
that
know,
was what happened in
but-
the story, though.
But I saved everyone's life. I died doing it, but everyone walked out of that cave knowing that if I hadn't died, they would not be walking out of that.
That is,
cave.
and it's true. And I reinforced that after he was done. Like, guys, you were losing badly, and look what he did.
Yep.
And this is a beautiful example. I'm glad you guys brought it up, because how long ago was that? And you still remember it because your character did something bold and heroic, even though it cost his life. You saved the rest of the group, and everyone recognizes that. And again, triumphant and special.
Well, now let's ruin that entire story by reminding everybody that this is the same character that Heathen Dog cut the rope and let somebody else die.
Hey.
I was going to say, like, why is it like some of the most evil GMs make the most heroic characters, but then you're just going to have spoiled that, so never mind.
Yeah, ruin it.
We won't get into that. Okay, I have one last question that's important for this, unless there's anything else in horror related that you want to talk about. And I think it's kind of the important one that a lot of folks out there, they think about, but they don't think about. And that's, I want to have a great Halloween session. I want it to be kind of a horror session. But I got kids at the table. And I want to do this for them where they're kind of creeped out, but hey, I don't have parents yelling at me the next day, or I'm not, giving cookies at 2 a.m, because, they're having bad nightmares. How do you address a horror game for, again, we're not talking 6 years old. We're talking, 12, maybe 12, 13, we're 10, 12, 13 year old. How do you handle this type of game for them?
Well, again, I think it helps if you know the players,
Kevin,
and you know what the group can handle.
Kevin,
And I know I was giving Jeremy a break.
Why are you doing that?
Because he's got work for you later.
Okay.
But first of all, I think most 12 and 13-year-olds can handle a lot more than people give them credit for. Although if they go home and had a wonderful session, you didn't freak them out, they don't have nightmares or puke out their stomachs. When they relate that story to mom and dad, they're the ones who are more likely to have issues with it.
Yeah.
Because they don't get it. And oh my God, how could you tell little Timmy or Angie, these horrible things? And
About someone's eyes being poked out or whatever. Like,
right.
I have a really good
kids love that kind of shit, by the way.
Yep.
Especially
you come out there and
Jeremy, the teenage girls. Now, Jeremy, what do you have?
So there's a way to address both those problems. Right off the bat, I asked the kids, what's the scariest movie they've ever seen?
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? Because then you get a good barometer for what their tolerance level is. And if the parents come to you later going, what are you doing putting my kid through this? You go, hey, I asked them what movies they've seen, and they've seen movie XYZ, and so I just kept it within that. Why did you let them watch that movie?
I had to get you in so much trouble, Jeremy, because I saw Alien at age 6 in the movie theater because my dad took me to see Alien. My mom
that's
never
awesome.
would have allowed me to go see that movie. So when my mom called you up and said, why did you do that? Well, you let him see Alien. My mom would be like, no, I did not.
I'd be like, well, then you need to check with your husband. And then I sit back and laugh as I just started a fight.
Well, then you have to measure the whole group also. Just because, little Nick saw Aliens at 6 doesn't mean the rest of the group did.
Yeah. I mean, reasons for divorce.
Well, they were already divorced. That's why he did it, probably.
Non-communication. Jeremy.
This might sound weird to folks out there, but I in my life, especially when I was a kid, I had more nightmares over Jabba the Hutt than I did over Alien.
Same.
I don't
Very
know
similar.
why.
Not Jabba the Hutt, but I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd wake up and be like, why did I just have a nightmare over a movie I love, Star Wars, because I love Star Wars, and no, Jabba the Hutt never scared me. But in my life, I've had more nightmares revolving around Jabba the Hutt than I have Alien. I don't get it.
He's a big slug that had control over other people and ate little innocent creatures like frogs.
Well, frogs aren't innocent; they're devious.
Subconsciously,
Hollyoak says, "Nope, sorry, putting an age limit on a horror game." Okay, well, that's fine, but what's the age limit? And that's actually a good going in blind. You don't know any of the participants. You don't know their families. You have to put some kind of age limit on your horror game. This horror game will involve people being murdered. It will involve descriptions of blood and gore. So, in your estimation, and you will not be in trouble for this, Jeremy, because it's your opinion. It's fine. So what would be your age floor?
oh, it really does depend on the kids.
See,
So
you're going in blind. You don't know. You have to make an age
going in
floor.
blind because I've done organized play before, right? So going with that thought in mind that I have to create an age limit, stepping into something like maybe I'm running a convention game or something along those lines, then yeah, I'd say my age limit is 13.
Kappa,
His floor's
even
13.
Kappa rules, but that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, because 13 is what all the video games and everything uses right now. So it puts you at a perfect legal standpoint.
Yeah, that's all Kappa rules right there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, or you can tone down your game.
Nope, that is not possible. My game is perfect. It's never being toned down.
Well, no, but actually, I wanted to address that, and I think Kevin's going in the right direction. Okay, so if you're going to tone the game down while still keeping those elements, when I say elements, I mean the horror elements, whatever that happens to be, without depicting every drop of blood and eye gouging. What do you cut out, or how do you cut it out, where you still infer enough there that they know something bad is happening?
That's kind of hard to say when you don't have an actual situation to cut up.
No, but you can't. I mean, obviously, what I'm saying is, how do you tone down instead of saying, just be real simple here. You stab him, he bleeds, you see his guts falling out, whatever. Instead of saying something like that, how do you tone it down while still implying that something bad happened?
They can find a dismembered hand. Right, you just say the word and let their imagination run with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Describe less.
Yep.
Right. Give their imagination more room to run with, but still put those things in there.
And even though I think it was PG-13, think more like Ghostbusters and Goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Goosebumps is super popular with kids.
Yep.
And you know, you can still have spooks and bumps in the night and cats jumping out and being scared. And you can do a lot of stuff if you really think about it without doing blood and gore. A lot of the same suspense. And again, the thing is, you kind of have to read your audience as you're playing through this. You don't want to set up the suspense and stuff so much where, you know, they get wigged out because... you know, you got them so ramped up and ready to go that, there's a knock on a door and half the group jumps out of their chairs and
unload an entire clip. Ah!
But again, even with young kids, and I'm not recommending you do this, but as someone who's big into Halloween and had these display, we had a massive display, Kathy and I, when we had all these we had these various scenes. Dioramas, life-size dioramas of like body chop shops and stuff. But I mean, we had a variety of things. Like there was Charlie Pumpkin's Great Pumpkin area, and there was, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean, and there was Wizard of Oz, and there were, you know, buzzsaws spinning with dismembered parts. And a lot of kids can take a lot of stuff, and especially if they know it's make-believe, you know, an eyeball on a fork. You know, a 6-year-old's going to go, hey, look, Mom, an eyeball on the fork. You know, but in a role-playing game, because you are engaging your imagination and theater of the mind, you got to be a little more conscious of sort of the emotional impact that you're building up, because kids are naturally imaginative. And so they're going to be following you along, you know, really well. excuse me. So you have to be careful and maybe make it a little bit more, throw in some slapstick stuff in there. You can, like with Ghostbusters, a great example. Every kid I ever knew under the age of 13 loved Slimer.
Mhm.
Because he was kind of scary, but not really. And he was funny, and he left you of slime, and kids are into slime and, goofy shit like that. So they're like, oh yeah, Slimer, he was great. And the same thing with, as adults, we're looking at this and going, holy shit, even though it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and it's kind of funny, we also understand the horror.
It
and
was
what it
breaking the
represents,
town.
where the kids are like, oh, it's a giant marshmallow man. And oh, look, they're all covered in goo. Incorporate those kind of elements. Think Scooby-Doo. It can be more of a Scooby-Doo type adventure rather than, Halloween 3
Sure.
or Freddy versus Jason. You're not going to do a splatter. I hope you're not going to do a splatter adventure for kids under 10. It just, there are lots of ways you can do horror that'll still be fun and still have that element of heroics and triumph and specialness. So, and by the way, raising, you can raise the level. How do you create a sense of triumph is for example, not just having the characters' lives at stake, but having a bunch of other innocent people's lives at stake. Again, sticking with the Ghostbuster example, all of New York and possibly the world was coming to an end if they didn't do something.
If they didn't cross the streams.
There you go.
Across the stream.
So, putting other characters, like, you're not only just saving yourself, but you're saving the innocent captives, whether it's, a school bus of high schoolers or, people from the church or, just the neighbors next door, the whole family. You're saving a family, you're saving a kid, you're saving, this homeless person who's going to get slaughtered. You're saving other people. That helps ratchet up the sense of urgency and sense of triumph when, hey, we defeated the big bad and we saved all these people, not just ourselves. So that's just another element to keep in mind.
Never should have gone to the Boy Scout picnic.
There you go.
I'm telling you, man.
Man.
I blame him, but that is now my cult classic. Well, I don't know if there's a Halloween movie, but he made me watch that, and I hated it when I first saw it. But the second time I saw it, that switch flipped, and I was just like, this movie is so stupid. It is funny. I love it. Nah.
What movie is this?
Cemetery Man.
It's
with
an
Rupert
Italian
Everett?
movie.
Rupert Everett, right?
No.
It's Rupert something.
Hang on.
He's a pretty famous actor, but it was before he was famous. Or maybe while he was, but anyway, it's an Italian movie. By the way, don't play it in front of your kids if you're really sensitive about boobs. There are a couple boobs in there because it is.
Oh no, it is Rupert Everett. Yeah,
Okay.
Rupert Everett. Anna Falchi.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Francois Haji Lazaro is Nagi.
he was the best actor in the movie.
He's the best actor in the movie. All he does is go
Until the last line of the
until
movie.
the last line of the movie when it actually says something.
Don't spoil it anymore.
I'm not gonna.
I mean, heads with TVs with heads in them.
IMDb says it is an Italian masterpiece. So.
Well, okay.
One of the best horror films ever made.
Wow, that's a little generous. Maybe one of the best horror movies made in Italy. I'll go with that.
Well, to be fair, it was done in the early 80s, right? I mean,
No.
No, 1994.
was it really that? Wow. Okay. Well, it looked like the 80s. I mean, my favorite series gets cracked on all the time because it has not aged well. Because I'm not really big into horror, but I love the Hellraiser series. I love it conceptually. Yeah. Anyway, we got to get to some chats here so we can let you guys finally go. Anything else before we get to some of these chats? So that anything you want to touch on? Final comments about horror role playing that maybe we didn't address well enough, or that you just want to point out one last time or something?
No, I think we covered it pretty darn well.
Okay. I really liked at the end there the concept about the kids. Obviously, know your audience, but that less is more concept. I think that works for every gamer, but that less is more. You don't have to be crazy graphic with them, but you can still you can still let them know that this is a tense situation, that this is something that can be both fun, Slimer, and maybe not so much at the same time. What's in that slime anyway? Did anybody ever taste it and find out what happens? Didn't they have a cereal, the Slimer cereal?
Not recommended.
Cereal.
Not recommended. Tastes like chicken. All right. So
Chicken's not maybe.
Gross. Hold on.
It's like the demonic possession.
We did read all this. By the way, thank you for all the super chats we got today so far. But there are two that were not super chats that I want to pop up here. Yeah, so here's a good question for you. Why are we so drawn to horror? Really?
We like to challenge existential dread and have a way out of it. Helps us deal with everything else.
Or people just want their problems in life to be blamed on something else that besides their stupid decisions. Yeah. People suck. They want someone to blame that's outside of them to make them feel better. And
views expressed by the co-hosts on this show do not represent all the. I'm going to bring that disclaimer back.
Monsters are it.
I think sometimes it's just a thrill. We like that adrenaline rush. Like the same reason we go on roller coasters and that kind of thing. I think it also has to do with, especially when you're dealing with the supernatural, it's like, here's an explanation for things we don't necessarily understand, or, we like the idea of, could this be real, and could it be nice, or could it be bad? It's fun.
As a Minnesotan, I like being afraid of every hockey goalie ever. Thank you, Jason.
The one that gave me nightmares as an adult was Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street 1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because the people who got Freddy to a place to kill children were their parents.
Yeah.
The parents caused the problem by burning the guy alive.
Sort of.
I was creeped out by Final Destination.
Ooh.
Well, Final Destination is like, there's nothing you can do. You're just done. You're just going to die in slow motion now.
So growing up, I was raised on horror movies. Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Silver Bullet, you name it. None of them got to me until I watched a movie called Witchboard, because in that, you can't see the bad guy.
Connie Kaitan, beautiful movie. Wonderful.
Yes.
And
he's coming back. There was a showrunner who did it, is making a reboot of it that he's using modern special effects. So same guy who did the original Witchboard is going to do it again. And but he's doing like a custom, like Mayan style, like demon summoning board. It's really cool looking, and I'm going to watch that, because that original movie scared the crap out of me as a kid. So let's go.
I completely understand why it cannot be done. So please, I have to preface what I'm about to say with that.
Okay, this is what happens when he's about to say something screwed up. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, it is. But if you really want to get that horror vibe, you'll have to read it, not watch it.
Yes, agree, 100%. I cannot be afraid of Tim Curry. Sorry, Dr. Frankenfurter is never scary to me.
but even if you get into we'll just say the nonsense that the kids do and that there's obvious reasons why it can't be shown. But that, if you want to see the depravity of human beings at all ages, that's that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the book for it was definitely much scarier than the movies.
And then the final comment here, and then I'll get to some Discord questions. One thing I've been curious about Nightbane is, this is what I had a different one started. Did you start this one? Dog? So. Oh, then you read it, because I got to go find the one I had started.
All right. One thing I've been curious about Nightbane is, how would you do the rural and outdoors in the setting? Because there isn't much info about doing things in Nightbane. Now, the sentence is awkward, but setting for non-urban settings, like not just suburban, but rural. Like hey, farmers turn into Nightbanes too, right? Or farmers' kids turn into Nightbanes too, right? And apparently William's feeling left out. I mean, he's not represented. His people are not represented. How would he go about creating a rural campaign? Is there official resource for him, or does he have to just make it up?
So actually, the material is there, right? You just have to think about what's in the area. Rural areas aren't empty. They still have plenty of things. Like go to some of the outskirts in Tennessee, away from the major cities, and you've got nuclear power plants. Those are targets for the Nightbane. What elements of human control would the Nightbane want to gain in those settings, and then bring that conspiracy there? Being able to have like a data center out in the middle of nowhere, or maybe a secret headquarters for some of the Ashmedai NSA agents. The materials there for a city can easily be brought into a rural area. You just have to think.
Weren't half the episodes of X-Files like filmed in like the woods of Washington or something?
Yep. X-Files is a great resource to use for Monster of the Week style anything. Right? Same with Supernatural. Supernatural takes place in a bunch of like out of the wall places too. So go for it.
In rural
Podunk, Arkansas, and Yippee-ki-yay, Texas, and where the hell am I, Kansas?
Well, let's face it, in any rural setting is, especially to city people, is spooky, because you got all kinds of noises.
Oh yeah. It's darker than they've ever seen in their entire life.
Yes, you don't see that in movies, because you would just see darkness and hear voices.
Yes.
So night is never pitch black like it really is when you're in a rural setting.
Getting lost in a cornfield is a real thing.
And Jeremy accidentally said Nightbane and conspiracy. He meant Night Lords, but you still deal with the whole. Hey, I'm Farmer Brown's kid, and I find out I'm a Nightbane. And maybe I look like a scarecrow, or maybe I look like, some farm equipment or whatever. You still have to deal with all those same issues there. And in fact, because the Night Lords are predominantly messing with urban settings, rural settings might be a great place for Nightbane to gather and kind of figure out their abilities and do things. And then, of course, Night Lords, or one of their minions, figures out, oh, hey, there's some Nightbane here. Let's mess with them. And some of the minions of the Night Lords can fly. If you have doppelgangers can be in a rural setting as much as an urban setting.
I'd probably get more done that way.
Yeah, exactly. So just really think about it, and there's a lot of applications of that material there.
Imagine that doppelganger being the rural sheriff.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, and control of food distribution.
Yep.
Is another thing the Night Lords probably would want to dip their toes into. And,
so in the Nightlands book, the prime Night Lord, the big head honcho, actually does mess with food distribution.
There you go.
So right. I forgot
don't spoil what he does, but absolutely.
That those machinations can go all the way to the farm.
Well, think about the horrible things you could do to torture or experiment on people if you wanted to, that may not be as obvious because you're out in a rural area where, there's not as many prying eyes. There's a lot of fun applications. It's a great question, actually. I'm glad they asked it.
All right. And then we got this one here. I thought it was a good point. This is when we were talking, just around the time we were talking about kids, but sometimes psychological thriller is scarier than gruesome. Again, I go back to Alien. Alien, there isn't a lot that really happens in that movie. In fact, a lot of modern people think it's slow, but they're still creeped out by it. That original Alien movie is absolutely fantastic.
It was all shadows and innuendo for a long time.
And a cat hissing.
People died. You don't know why. You barely saw the creature.
But when you do see the creature, it was awesome, and it really had a big impact, because when you finally see it, you're like, holy crap, no wonder the whole crew is getting slaughtered.
I remember watching that movie and thinking, man, there's a light switch in every room. Turn it on, man.
Well, that's my big beef about almost all horror movies. Turn on the freaking lights.
I know.
It drives me crazy to pull out a flashlight. Like, click on the light. The TV's on. Click on the light. You got electricity. My house will be lit up like. Oh, yeah.
Right? Yes. He's mentioned Silence of the Lambs here, but just using little concept of like Alien of Jonesy hissing all the time. To give, you didn't have to see the alien. You just saw the cat hissing and then running off. Something is weird in the neighborhood.
Yeah. The cat is the only smart one here.
And we all know how much Heathen Dog likes cats.
Hate cats.
Okay, let's. I got some questions on the Discord side as well. Not too many of them, just a couple. I'm going to go backward here. So, B Magnet says, I don't intend to scare players from playing horror-themed games because that is difficult to do. Instead, I attempt to elevate the tension higher to keep them in suspense. What are some of your tried and true methods for keeping tension high in horror-themed games?
We've kind of gone over that a little bit, though.
Yeah, fair.
We did. The big one is do not reveal the source too soon. You have to give crumbs. You have to, they can only advance so much so quickly in their investigation to figure out what's going on. No matter how well they roll. I rolled a natural 20. Well, that's great. You still only learn this. I rolled an odd 1 out of 100. I'm the greatest ever. I'm Sherlock Brett. No, you still only learn this much, because if you learn too much too fast, it's not going to be suspenseful or scary at all.
And
you're just going to know what the problem is, and then all you got to do is think about the solution. That's not scary. That's work. The scary part is figuring out what the problem is and then realizing it, and then that's the big reveal. You have to slow that down as much as humanly possible without losing them.
You create breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The next one that I'll read here, I think this is going to be the last one from the Discord side, except for I do have a question after the stream, apparently. Where is it? The question was being, here we go. How do you keep the game fun and scary without using the same tricks over and over again? Basically, without telegraphing, like, oh, we know when Kevin does this, this is about to happen.
Oh, well, that's...
Hey, man, I'm just reading the question off of Discord.
I know. That, everyone has their crutch, their go-to move. It's the same way. It's hard to, you have to practice forging someone's signature. It's their deal.
But it's fine if you do, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I think the point is it comes down to, if you have your thing that you do, as long as you're working to make your thing that you do fun, then it works. Even if you are using the same tropes, make it fun for the players in some way. Don't make it old and stale. Change things up every now and then. It doesn't hurt to do that. You always want to have new material and want to experiment with a few things, but it's also okay to fall back on some of the things you're more familiar with to ground yourself. So you just find balance, really, right? Do a little bit of new, do some of the old, create a balance and harmony, but always make it fun, no matter what.
If it works, it works. That's why every flippin' horror movie has the hissing cat, the dog or cat or bird that flies out of nowhere, and
stupid running idiot that looks back, trips on a thing, dies. That's how it works. Yeah,
because it works.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if your players are still having fun and if it still spooks them, you're doing fine. Repeat all the way you want.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps us up, unless there's anything else you guys wanted to address in this. We're almost keeping this on time today. Weird.
Crazy.
I know this is not one of my live streams for keeping it on time, but if we talked about Nightbane, let me put that, where's that QR code again? Where are these stupid QR? There we go. And boom, there you go. Up on the screen, there is the QR code for Through the Glass Darkly audiobook. You can go ahead and click on that, get to the webpage, and of course you want to back. I didn't even look at what the numbers were before today, but I am going to refresh this now. I can't. Yeah, well, my screen just went stupid, so now I can't see. Bit. Okay.
Went up about $100.
Nice. There you go. So that's probably 4 orders right there.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Appreciate everybody who did back that. Check that out. Obviously you want to go to Palladium Books and buy all this stuff. What's on sale right now, since my webpage just went weird and I can't look at anything?
Most
All of
everything horror.
There you go.
Yep.
So
is
Beyond
on sale.
Supernatural, Nightbane,
Dead
Rain.
Rain.
Dead Rain, yep.
Awesome.
Systems failure, even though it's kind of science fiction, post-apocalyptic, it's got bug monsters.
By the way, some of the best Rifter articles for any game are the people who write stuff for systems failure, I found out. Like, at least in my opinion. I think it's because there's so little for it that they're really passionate about, that they want this to be good. Some of the best articles, whether I agree with the articles or not, just how they're written, what they're putting together, what they're adding to the game, some of the best Rifter articles are for systems failure.
And Systems Failure is a fun game. I think a lot of people write it off because it was inspired by the whole Y2K hysteria, and but it's not limited to just that time frame. The whole concept is good. It's kind of Signs-ish, the movie Signs. I just happened to watch it on cable. You know, it's spooky time, right? So that was on, and I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Systems Failure. But yeah, Systems Failure is a fun game, and it's great for one shots, by the way, and it's great for beginner players.
Yeah, because it is one of the books that I put kind of like the old TMNT book and whatnot, where it doesn't have all the riffs rules and every little nuance and all this type of equipment and so forth that might scatter your brain a little bit. It's got what you need to get started, and then from there, remember, as we like to say here, Palladium is a framework. You take that framework and improve it as you want at your table.
Yep.
All right, sweet. Well, let's get that off the screen. As always, Jeremy, Kevin, we think Sean hates us now, so we're not thanking him anymore. Yep. He doesn't ever
or he hates America.
No,
I mean,
no.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But no, thank you guys for being here again. We always appreciate this. These are the fun conversations to have. Just picking your noodles for how to make better games, how I can run a better game, how people out there can run better games, getting your experience and so forth. Please quickly. You also go to the Glitter Boys. You've got the Palladium podcast where you talk about history. Each one of our shows does something a little bit different, kind of a little crossover, but a little different. So what else do you have going on in terms of live streaming where people can, or videos where people can catch up on and learn even more about Kevin, Jeremy, and Palladium Books?
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of mentioned them. We're regularly on Glitter Boys. We're regularly on, of course, your show. We have a new YouTube video every other week on the Palladium YouTube channel. And by the way, we're going to start to have more with other people than just me. I know people adore me and want to see me, but
there are other people at Palladium?
What?
There are other people at Palladium and freelancers who are artists.
Jeremy, what do you think about that?
I'm just a doppelganger.
There you go.
We're gonna be doing something on Turtle Tracks pretty soon, which is obviously a Ninja Turtle podcast.
I thought.
Why would you go there? I mean, there's nothing about Ninja Turtles anybody should know about, right?
Yeah, right. And so yeah, no, just keep your eyes peeled and enjoy the stuff that we're doing. We're also open to other podcasts. Just reach out to us through our help desk. We're busy, and I do want to make a clarification because we're all joking and everyone here knows why Sean isn't here. But the main reason Sean isn't here is because it's 4:22 a.m. where Sean is. And as much as he loves role-playing and gamers, it's pushing it.
When I worked for the Marines in Japan, I didn't have an excuse. They made me come in at 2 a.m. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's not in the military anymore,
Kevin,
so it doesn't count.
Kevin, you need to crack that whip a little harder.
Well, he doesn't have a Leavenworth. All right.
That's true.
All right. Thank you very much. Jeremy likes to bail right away, but if you can hang out for like 1 minute, Jeremy, unless you really got to go. And Kevin, I do have 2 questions for you from people after the fact here that we don't want to ask on the screen. But I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Next week, what are you covering next week?
Next week is going to be, we're going to finally get into combat.
Oh, that's right. Oh, we're gonna have another year's worth of AD&D second edition. Okay, got that. So that means
AD&D second edition player's handbook read through, and we're starting combat.
Well, then I guess
And
I'm covering
a lot
a
of
Rifter.
people are like, "Oh my god, I've been waiting for this. I want
Yeah.
you to explain this combat thing to me. This second edition combat
This
nonsense."
Faco.
I was going to say, so you'll need a marker board, and to hit armor class 0 becomes a scientific formula.
And we'll talk about
We're gonna
that.
get into it.
I guess. And so I'll have to, because it's been a while. I'll have to cover a Rifter. I think it's number 27, 6. I don't know, one of the 20s. So I will find a couple articles in a Rifter, present them to you guys, and it'll be fun. So until then, thank you, everybody. Really do appreciate every one of you, and talk to you later.